Well, hello there, friends. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing something a little bit different. What I decided to do was go into my community for the channel, which is actually comments. Okay, so this is the comments section. And this is specifically going to be from my subscribers. And some of you are going to recognize yourselves here in these comments. And so here we go. So first of all, I think that what you really see in the comments is a lot of great questions that a lot of people can benefit from because there's an answer to every question. So here in my YouTube channel, I have thousands and thousands and thousands of comments. And you know what? I've answered every single one of them. There's not one that I've missed. So if you take a look here, what we'll start with is one of the latest ones that I got here was just one day ago from the time that I'm recording this, not really one day ago, but from Majestic 1120. So what he says is, patience, know when to walk away. Oh, okay. You know what he's talking about is my technique numbers. So he says that my technique number 1 is patience, know when to walk away. 0.05 is keep your fingers away from the presser foot. LOL. And 0.01, have fun. So I remember what I had responded back to him when I did my reply. It's not showing it here. But what I had told him that actually, well, I kind of laughed about what he had to say, that was a good suggestion. But what I told him was that actually the technique number one is to always move forward and never move backwards. People ask me all the time, well, what's your number one technique? Because they'll see technique numbers 5,845, or they'll see technique number 322, or even 80,455. So really what I tell them is, I get the question all the time too. They ask me if I have a book or if I have some kind of a list of my techniques and their numbers. And basically what I always write back to them is that the number of the technique really isn't what's important. What's important to know is that the lower the number of the technique, the more important it is. That's why you really need to pay attention to those lower technique numbers, because those are the ones that you're probably going to be using most often and that are going to be most important. So let's move on. So Sherwin Hunkins says, I have been wanting to do furniture upholstery for a while now, but the sewing part always kept me away. I'm finally taking a sewing class, so I am watching your videos more often. I live in the Caribbean. I pray you remain strong and vibrant and continue making these videos. Thank you. So usually whenever somebody says thank you, the first thing I have to do is I have to let them know how welcome they are. So I will almost always say, you're so welcome, because I really mean it. Because I really appreciate somebody taking the time to sit down and write a comment. And, especially something that's as nice as what this guy here had to say. I think it's a guy. So he's talking about taking a sewing class. So a lot of people have asked me about taking sewing classes. And basically what I've always told them is you are always going to be your own best teacher. So instead of paying money, probably, and sitting in some class somewhere trying to learn how to do upholstery, you're spending time, you're spending money, and maybe you go to one class a night, a week, or something like that. I'll tell you what, that's not the way to go. Okay, you are your own best teacher, and the only way you're going to teach yourself is by getting behind that sewing machine. So get behind that sewing machine and make a lot of mistakes. Okay, because when you make a mistake is when you learn something new. And that's the way it is, and people are afraid to get started because they think that they need instruction. okay, and they put it off. They'll say, well, I'll get to it later, and I'll do it next year or whatever. But you know what? The sooner you get behind a sewing machine, the more you're going to learn, the faster you're going to learn, and it just gets better and better and better. The second thing that you made, the first thing that you made might not look that great, but then it's the way it is. Everybody starts from zero, right? So you got something that you made, you're not really happy with it, but you know what? The second time that you go to make that, whatever it is, the second one is always better than the first one. The third one is always better than the second one. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. So let's see here. So go. Oh, you know what? The other really common comment I always get is people are asking me to recommend them sewing machines. Okay, and the thing about that is in my 45 years that I've been doing this upholstery, I've only owned 2 sewing machines. The first one lasted me almost 40 years. It was a Chandler Adler, and that thing, I loved it. It was a German-made sewing machine, and I just basically wore it out. The thing was so smooth and so quiet, it ran like a Swiss watch, German watch, okay? So I wore it out, so I had to replace it. So I replaced it with my Juki. It's an LU 2810 model. And so people, they'll ask me about sewing machines, and what I always tell them all the time is, because they always talk about buying the new one, right? So I always tell them really that it doesn't matter if it's a used industrial sewing machine or if it's a new industrial sewing machine. The only thing that you really need is reverse. You need reverse. You need walking foot and a welt foot. So with those 3 things, you can pretty much sew up just about anything. Like my welt foot, I use a 1/4-inch welt foot on my machine, and I almost never ever change it out. The only thing I ever do change it out with is a zipper foot. Maybe 1% of the time I might have a need to change out that foot, but other than that, all the sewing I do, I just keep that 1/4-inch the welt foot on there, and I never remove it. So, wow, look at all those questions that I'm answering right off bat, and I've only got to 2 of these questions. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, JD IMEO. Okay, he's one of my most popular commenters. Hi, JD. So thank you for posting this video. I'll use your approach when making a cover for a compact tractor. So that was here on one of my last videos about building a big giant cover for a motor cage for an airboat. So that thing took me like 3 days to do. It was a 2-hour video. But anyway, it looks like a lot of people were telling me that they were surprised at how simple the design was, and how I was able to get that thing done, climbing on that thing like a monkey on a tree, right? So anyway, it looks like he's going to try it. Okay, so next we have Shattered Dreams 6517. Says, what am I doing wrong? I keep struggling and bunching the wrinkles when sewing corners or turns. Okay, so this was he was taking a look at the video, watch me transform this old seat into something awesome. So that one there got a lot of views. I'm really surprised. But that was also a pretty long video. That was over an hour. And I think people are learning a lot from that one. But what he's asking about is bunching and wrinkles when sewing corners or turns. So I remember what I answered back to him was, I think that sewing corners and turns, what happens is the material that's on the bottom is probably not moving as much as the material on the top, so it tends to bunch up, okay, as he's sewing. The other thing that I told him was to check your thread tension. Like if your bottom thread, your bobbin thread is too tight, or if it's tighter than your top thread, that's going to happen. Because your bottom bobbin thread is going to be tight and short, while the top is going to be loose, and that might be something that is going to create that bunching and wrinkles in the corners. So let's move on here. So Mr. Metal, he's another one of my favorites. Hi, Mr. Metal. So says, that's great. Thanks for sharing the info. Okay, so he just appreciated my video about how I spend how I spend your buy me a coffee financial contributions. So that was one of my latest videos. So Cecil is another one. So excellent upgrades to your awesome channel. Keep up the fantastic videos. Right on. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate that. And Rosemary McCartney 3750 says, I could not have gotten as far with my car if it wasn't for your videos. So it sounds like she's been watching for a while. I guess her name is Rose. And she also made the comment on the video about the Buy Me a Coffee contributions. So, when people are really appreciative like that, I will show my appreciation back as best as I can. I try to make it really obvious that I really appreciate what they're saying. But, usually when somebody says that they watched more than one video, I usually tell them, thank you very much for hanging in there with me, by watching more than one video. So doing my best. Okay, she's another one. Hello there. Doing my best. So she says, that's awesome, Richard. It's that same video. And TW 1972. Hey, TW. He says, that's a cool camera. My legs went a little bit wobbly looking at the price, but it is going to be well worthwhile. So that's what I'm recording on right now. I got my new microphone, got my new camera. Thank you guys. That's what I've been reinvesting the money on, for the money that's been contributed to my channel. If you find value in my upholstery tutorials, now is an easier way to contribute to my YouTube channel. Buy a coffee by scanning this QR code now. Thank you. So on the OTW's back, perfect again. Richard is what he wrote, and that was for the cover for that airboat. And Israel Rodriguez 9232 says, okay, that's also on the Buy Me a Coffee contributions. It's great you got new toys, something that might help you with the light, because I was complaining about the light with the old cameras. Could be painting your walls flat white. It will diffuse more light all over the place. Love your videos. So what he's talking about is the OSB that you see back here. Actually, I had a few people comment about that maybe I should just paint them white, but I think it looks better like OSB. That's the only thing. So there's another one, same thing. OSB walls in my shop are painted white. It really helps to brighten up the place. So thanks for the video. Perfect Season 1972. Right on. So old truck seat makeover. Says great video. You are able to make a video showing how to make a pattern when you only have springs. Oh, okay. So I remember that answer. Basically what I did is I do have a few videos on my YouTube channel that show how to make patterns when you don't have patterns. So basically fabricating patterns and making something from nothing. So I did refer him to those few videos so that way he can watch those. Okay, let's see. Eddie. Hey, Eddie Perez 43. Hey, Eddie. He's another good guy. So, wow, yesterday I had to do one. Okay, so he's talking about a jet ski seat. I did it just the way you're showing. The only thing I did wrong was glue it down to get the wrinkles out. Is this okay? I still have to do another piece that goes behind it on Monday, but it's coming out nice so far, but you are number one. So I remember what I wrote back to him is that, just like in the video, I didn't glue it down. So basically what I told him is that if you do glue it down, because it sounds to me like he's trying to get out the wrinkles, and he thinks that the reason that there's wrinkles there is because he needs to glue it down. So basically what I told him that is, if you do glue it down, what's going to happen is you won't be able to move that material around and shrink it with a heat gun, because it's going to be stuck in place. So I just pretty much advised, that I wouldn't do that. I guess if he wanted to, he could, but I wouldn't do that. So I do it the way I do it. I show, people how I've been doing it for years and years, and I wouldn't glue that down, because that vinyl has to be able to migrate on top of the foam, and the only way that's going to do is if it can move around. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. Brian Made 4219. Okay, looks like the cover video. I enjoyed watching the video, but what I'd like to see is a tutorial of how to make a cover for a car or a pickup truck. So I do remember replying back to him, and what I had told him was that basically it's the same process. So you're going to be making the patterns the same way. You're going to be cutting out the material and sewing it up, and zippers if you want, or whatever, the same way. So the process is pretty much exactly the same as what you saw in that airboat motor cover video. Okay, we'll do a few more of these. It says, I will confess that I am a real newcomer at this, but I am about to sew my boat cushions and side panels. But it seems what you are showing is that you don't need to be exact on seam allowances and pattern size. Would that be right? So this is from Kishi Dabu. So this is on a video about making boat cushion upholstery. So what I get this a lot too about seam allowances, because people, when they watch me, they don't see that either I already include the seam allowance in as I'm drawing the pattern on the table. Sometimes I'll even mention that, even where the seam allowance is missing on the pattern, because I used a razor blade or something to cut the seam allowance off right at where it's seamed. But then later on, when I go to draw out the pattern, I'll draw in that extra 3/8 inch, and that allows for that extra seam allowance. So sometimes people, they just miss that in the video, and sometimes when I'm working in like cruise control, and sometimes I don't describe every single little thing that I'm doing, but you could really see it in real time when I am doing the work. So let's see what else we got. Oh, got a whole bunch more of these. Let's see here. Nice looking. Let's see. Sports jacket for an elephant. That was a joke. Yeah, right there. AZ Charlie. So he says, I didn't have time to watch the whole thing, but I'm really interested in how you do this. I'll be back. I made a bra for the front of my travel trailer, and it was pretty simple, really. Now we have a fifth wheel with a curved nose. I'm trying to get ideas how to pattern it. Wouldn't it be easier and more efficient use of material to cut several pieces, 3 or 4 at 17 inches wide, sew them together lengthwise? If you really make one long piece, you might not be able to use the rest of the roll. So when I did that cover, I initially had bought 11 yards because I thought that was going to be enough. So I really used the material off the roll based on the patterns of what I was doing there. So I wasn't really so concerned about the material. I was hoping I could do it within that 11 yards. But in the end, I didn't. I came up short. I had to buy another 3 yards to finish the job. One of the other reasons is I didn't want to buy too much. It's $50 a yard, So it's kind of expensive. So basically, for what he's saying here is, would it be more efficient So I would have to say the more pieces you have, the less efficient it would be, because you're just making more work for yourself. But really, your patterns are going to be based on the shape of whatever it is that you're covering. So that's like first priority, is make your pieces fit your shape. Okay, so that's what I would do. Okay. Oh yeah, there was a big flooding here in Texas. So TW was a little concerned. Hope you're safe and away from the flooding. My heart goes out to the families. Cool little setup, Richard. Oh, so he was talking about my lipo battery, or lifetime lithium batteries video about my solar garden. Anyway, that was a paid one there, so that was a sponsored video. So let's see here. Dojo 1965. How do you match the vinyl? So that's on one of my most popular videos. It's got way over 2 million views. So must see truck and car seat repair without unplugging airbags. So how do you match the vinyl? Well, my suppliers, they provide me with upholstery sample books. So when I get a customer that needs something replaced like that, I just take my vinyl sample book out to the car. There's like 100 different samples on it. And I match up the right color and grain. It's that easy, really. So basically what I had told him was, to just Google. I tell the people this a lot too. Just Google upholstery supplier near me. And those people will be able to help you out. Okay. So right here, Shattered Dreams 6517. How much material do you order when doing seats? So that's when restore your car seats like a pro. So basically, it's most common that materials, they come in a 54-inch wide roll. So basically what I do is I take that 54-inch width, take my tape measure, and you really could either measure from the top to the bottom, like say you have a backrest, measure from top to bottom on the backrest and then side to side, and then you can pretty much well know that 1 yard would be 54 inches by 36 inches wide. 36 is a yard. So when it comes to like boat cushions or something like that, what I do is I lay them on the ground, and I just take the tape measure and I measure all the pieces together, and then I also order extra for the sides and the backs or whatever extra material it's going to need. And sometimes, just to be safe, I will order 1 or 2 extra yards just to be safe, so that way I don't come up short. Because vinyl's a lot cheaper than that cover material. Okay. Oh, I did have some foreign language ones that I had to translate. I can't read that. Let's see, vinyl or top fabric, what do you recommend? Oh, okay, Stephen, well, I got a phone call from him. He's here in Texas. So, hello there, Stephen, if you're watching. So, vinyl or fabric top. What do you recommend? So, that was on the 24 Mustang convertible tops, like a pro video. That was a nightmare. That was a crazy job. You can go watch it for yourself if you want. But anyway, what I told him is that the fabric top, which is the Hart Stay Fast cloth, or the German G cloth, is what you usually see like on a lot of the new cars right now. They all have the fabric tops. Back in the old days, it all started with all the European cars, the Mercedes, the BMWs, and all that. They had the fabric tops. So the characteristics between the vinyl and the fabric top is the vinyl. If you have a vinyl convertible top on your car and you park it in the garage with the top in the down position, and you leave it like that for 6 months, 6 months later you would go to put the top back up again, and it would have shrunk on you. You can't get it to latch down. It won't reach the windshield. That's a characteristic with a vinyl top. And not only that, but you'll start getting cracks in the corners, where the fabric top won't do that. So the fabric is always going to be the fabric, and it doesn't shrink like that. Not only that, but it's a better insulator because it's thicker. It costs more, a few $100s more on the top, but it's really worth it. If that's what you want is longevity. The thing about fabric tops, the thing that really kills the fabric is the dirt. Dirt that settles on top. And the best way to get rid of that dirt is either like when you're at a car wash, to take the pressure wand and wash all the dirt off the top of it, or compressed air is another one. But it's really the dirt that kills that fabric. So yeah. Says, I couldn't help but wonder how much contacts you got on the sewing machine. How much contacts? Love your channel. Contacts you got on your sewing machine. Gosh, I couldn't remember what I wrote on there for him. I think I figured that one out. Let's see. After all these years, vinyl and hubcaps always kind of freaked me out, but knowing how well it preserves these oldies is great. Okay, so he's talking about the vinyl tops on the cars. Okay, so he had a thing about vinyl on cars, I guess. Yeah, it says, I'm going to definitely keep watching. I just found out the house already has an industrial sewing machine. Okay, so that makes me happy. But honestly, bumping into you online inspired me to get things moving. So thank you. Old school techniques will rise again. Thank you. Oh, he's wrote here another one. After all these years, vinyl and hubcap. Oh, that's the same thing. It's a ditto. That happens sometimes. So we got here great video. See, when you're making the pattern for the center of the seat at 1202, it didn't look like you added seam allowances. See, there we go. Do you add seam allowance? So that's the same question pretty much as we saw earlier. And Cirque 42 says, I usually do boat canvas covers. However, a good friend asked me to do a motorcycle seat. Your expertise has helped me a great deal. Thank you. So that was on the Roll and Pleat video. And I probably told him how much I appreciate them saying so. And probably gave him some encouragement about doing a motorcycle seat. So he wrote back, certainly will, and pass your site along as well. It's great when tradesmen are willing to share their secrets. Only the incompetent try to hide what they are doing because they are afraid of losing their job. Keep up the great work. So you wouldn't believe, what I'm telling you here is it's worth going into the comments. Because, in these comments, you're going to see a lot of questions and a lot of answers. And, sometimes the people, they'll write me an email. And when that happens, nobody else gets to see it. The only person that gets the answer is the person that wrote the email. So usually what I try to tell them in the email at the end is, that if they put it in comments, that other people might benefit from the question as well. So remember that, put it in comments, not necessarily in an email. Michael Wheeler. So I got out 2 years ago, saw the writing on the wall then, followed 80% of what you've been saying, and 20% my own experimentation with unrelated stuff, mainly in deliveries, trucking, etc., same industry. So this is about the AI is coming for your job. So, and now I feel like I dodged a bullet. Everyone's been asking if they can work for me. And don't have enough work for the heaps of people yet because I'm in the bottleneck for projects and space. Really glad I found you. And when I did, I took action. When I did, because I feel like the hardest part's over. And your videos for anyone starting out. They get to learn early and not have to eat so much glass, so to speak. So that's true too. I always tell people all the time that, said it earlier, you're always your own best teacher. So, what I always say is that upholstery is 10% knowledge and 90% technique. Okay, technique is something that you learn over time. So that means that you have to get behind that sewing machine and give yourself some experience. So Sunset Originals is another good one. I think AI will take lots of hands-on jobs as well. Okay, so it's also about the AI job. See, but I don't see it doing custom canvas or upholstery anytime before I retire at least. AI really scares the crap out of me, especially if the other country wins the race, and I really think they'll win it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do a couple more bonus questions. So let's see what we got here. How about okay. Wow, okay, Dabadi 57 iffy. Wow, so cool, very impressive, amazing work. Watch the entire video, very entertaining. Where are you located at? So he's looking at a custom seat video. So I get this a lot too. People, they ask me, well, where are you? So I always tell them that I am a proud resident of East Texas, and I say, yeehaw! And then a little hee hee. So I get that a lot. Okay, let's see. What about, this is another one. Sheila Owens, 1513. So I get this a lot too. I probably answered this here probably about 500 times. People ask me, what did you charge for your expertise? It's right here. What do you charge for your expertise? So she was watching the $0 seat repair fast and easy. So the answer I always give to that is I never ever tell people how much I'm charging for something. What I will tell them though is, because it doesn't matter what I charge, because if they're in Oregon or if they're in Michigan or if they're in California or Florida, it doesn't matter what I charge. Basically, the way I think of it is, it's not like a sticker on a shelf at Walmart where everything is always the same price. Because people will say, well, how much does this cost and how much does this cost? But, every situation is different. So what I always answer back to them is, first of all, it's entirely up to the person that's doing the work, how much they're going to charge you. Second of all is their experience. Okay, because probably the more experience they have, probably the more they want to get charged. The other thing then would be the design of the item that they're working on, how difficult it is, the materials chosen, and even the big thing really is the geographical area that they live in. Because if somebody lives in one area, it's not going to be the same as another area, regardless of where it is. So I can't even say this state or that state, because it's all going to be different. It's not going to be like a sticker on a Walmart shelf, right? Okay, so here's the one here. This is a pretty good one, I thought. So FLSTN1 right here. It says, thank you for sharing this video. What can I use to do my headliner? Would this work for it? So he's looking at the pro tips for dyeing vinyl, leather, and plastics in your car interior. So basically what I remember replying to him was that the spray dye is for plastics. It's not for fabrics. So I told him, really, if it's like a headliner, you're really going to want to replace the headliner if you want to change the color. Because nothing that you spray on it is going to do any favors for you. It's going to look horrible. It's going to be stiff. It's going to look really bad. And you're probably going to use whatever spray can you use. You're probably going to use like 5 or 6 of them, right, to try to cover up fabrics. So that's pretty much what I told him, is he probably want to just change the headliner. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, answering some of these questions. I can get into more depth by being here face to camera with you, because my responses and my replies to comments, I got to kind of keep them short because I get a lot of them. Because I told you I answer every single one of them. So until next time, we'll see ya. If you like this video, you'll really like the next one.